So we dated for about 5 years before we got married. And then the first few years of marriage really were largely just came to church just one day a week. You know, that didn't change for 6 or 7 years into our marriage.
During the week, I'd say we were just going about our daily lives, not really giving much thought to God. It'd be Sunday, we go to church, and it was more just kind of I wouldn't say an obligation, but just kind of a routine. We lived life to the fullest from a financial aspect, from a travel aspect, and just both of us with our combined incomes for the first time in our lives, we're doing quite well. We didn't think much about shopping or traveling or gift giving or just about where our money was going. We always just kind of had the attitude that the money was there.
The pastor gave the church a challenge to get in the game. Janie and I really did feel convicted at that point that we'd been going to Sunday school, we'd been coming to church, but we weren't involved. And so it was at that point that we joined the choir, and that really did change things for us. The next real piece was, a financial commitment. The pastor had challenged the church to give beyond the tithe. That led to a conviction in our lives that we needed to be committed givers. It was when the pastor came to the church and unveiled the plan to build a new campus that I'd say there was a much longer, probably more difficult conversation about what we needed to do.
Dr. Jeffress, when he announced the For Generations to Come capital campaign, really asked each of us to not just give our regular tithe, not to just give an amount above our regular tithe, but to give something that would be meaningful, and to really challenge ourselves to go above and beyond what we thought we could ever do.
We did not have a large nest egg to pull from. We didn't have any other way to give a large gift. So for us, it was really about evaluating our lifestyle and our income and our expenses on just a regular basis.
But the question was, what is that number? How do we figure out that number? How do we figure out for us as a couple what sacrificial is?
Since I travel for work, Janie keeps the checkbook. She pays the bills. She keeps up with, the day-to-day financial pieces. So I knew we had the information that we needed. So I went to Janie and said, Janie, we need to pull the last 12 months of everything that we've spent.
Basically a year's worth of bank statements.
We pulled out our yellow legal pad, drew a line down the center, and had the food, shelter, clothing column and the everything else column. And that took me the better part of a couple of weekends to sit and tabulate exactly what we've been spending for the last year.
Because honestly, we really didn't know. I don't feel like we were necessarily irresponsible with our money. It was there, we had it, we were doing well, so we just spent.
It was right there in black and white to be able to see what we were spending month by month and over a 12-month period, how much money was going to things that we really didn't have anything to show for.
Sitting down and having to write all that, I felt some guilt because I felt like I had let him down. I think that was the hardest thing at first, is I felt like when I looked at what was in the extras column, that not only had I let us down as a couple, but that I had let God down. We realized that column could be going to God. And so what we did is, after we went through a year's worth of bank statements and put everything in 2 columns, the column that was not necessity, we took that and we times that number times 3, since that was the length of the campaign, and we decided that was going to be our pledge. I did have a brief moment of, oh my gosh, is this number that we're talking about, is this really it? And Sam was like, yes, this is really it. So the blessing of it all is that it caused us to communicate on a deeper level than we had before in our marriage. But then it absolutely gave us a trust and a faith that we had to have in God that we had never had before.
This wasn't anymore about a building. It wasn't even necessarily about the church specifically, but it was really about us giving back what we felt like we should give to God. The way that we had lived before the campaign was not something we were going to go back to. So this had really become, for us, a permanent lifestyle change, something that was sacrificial, yes, but sacrificial in a way that really had molded us into something different, into a couple that was different.
We are the Petersons, and this is our day one.